How do you like that psalm today? Praise the Lord, my soul. Praise the Lord, my soul. Beautiful morning. First day of the week. Just had a lovely swim. It's a very blessed day for me and my family. That's 70 years ago today. My mom and dad got married. And that was the foundational day for our family. What was sealed that day continues to blossom in our lives. The grace poured out. Untold grace, amazing, absolutely amazing, reflected in so many ways. And I can only say with the psalm today, praise the Lord, my soul. And right across the lake here we have, let's say if we go a straight line through the tree, here this palm tree, solitary, we've right behind that is Hippos. It's all shaded now in cloud. And that's the capital, not the capital, that's the northernmost city of the Decapolis, which is the scene of our gospel story. But there's actually another place of our gospel story, and actually this is a good point to look. If we look here, not at the container or the restaurant to be built, but if we look at, not the palm tree, but behind the palm tree, we have Migdal. You can't see much of Migdal city, but it's there. And then, our town. And then in the distance, you have the mountains, the border to Lebanon. And then over on the left, you can see a little bit snooping up there. And if we were up on Mount Arbel, we'd see even more to the west, and still we wouldn't even see it all, maybe just about half of the way over to the Mediterranean coast. And then we would go up along the Mediterranean, and we would meet a city of biblical significance, Tyre. And the king of Tyre sent the cedars of Lebanon floating down the Mediterranean to Jaffa, and they were brought up to build the temple. And just a little trivia here in that regard, our boat altar inside in Dukin Altum is made of Lebanese cedar. Obviously there's an echo there of a place of worship, the first place of worship built of Lebanese cedar. Okay, well, we go back to Tyre. And now it's a long time later, it's 1,000 years later, maybe not 1,000 years quite, maybe about 9 centuries later, and Jesus going to Tyre and Sidon. And the exegetes are there's a couple of thoughts and theories, but we're reading Mark's Gospel, and apparently from Mark's Gospel, and I had never thought about that until yesterday, when I saw Father Fernando, one of our companions' videos that he did for this Sunday. He does a video every Sunday in Spanish, and he actually filmed it over in Hippos. But he refers the thoughts of some exegetes that Jesus did this trip alone. I had never considered that. And here we see the Sea of Galilee in our map. And then we go way north, up beyond the mountains we just saw, bordering Lebanon, up the coast. And then we are at Tyre. Now, an interesting phenomenon is also that Jesus goes to Tyre, from Tyre to the Sea of Galilee. But it says he goes via Sidon, which is further north. So he did a big swoop into pagan territory and took a big tour around to the Sea of Galilee. Some others say that he was with his disciples. These are obviously, reconstructing some of the additional facts. If you were going to do a movie, if you were going to write a novel, historical novel, you could fill in the gaps like The Chosen does. It's like a historical novel, so it takes the gospel facts and wants to be faithful to the gospel message, but fills out a lot of the things that aren't described in the gospel story. But the big point today we can capture isn't just the physical travels and the locations, obviously. That in a way is significant when we have the connection here to this land, and we call it the Holy Land, even though many unholy things happen as well, like in all human lives and history. And in that sense, it's obviously important because our faith, since Abraham, is very historical and geographical. It's tied to places because God wants to come into our life, and with the culmination of the incarnation, that becomes very, very tangible, literally, physically, visible, audible. Tangible, visible, audible in our communities, in our neighbors, in our relatives, like Peter's mother-in-law, or the widow's son, or Jairus' daughter. That God becomes so concrete, so tangible, so close in our lives. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I just had a little thought, like what's so much amazing in nature. Here we see these little flowers that I hadn't seen before. It looks like a weed creeper or whatever it is, but anyway, it's a flower. And you see all this reality of flower and leaves and plants and genetics came out of this dirt. Well, obviously there was a little seed, but the transformation that happens of the material into the visible, the beautiful, the tangible, the audible, the tasteable. Amazing, amazing. Praise the Lord, my soul. What a psalm. And you see, Isaiah captures the promise of this happening in an extraordinary way. The prophet, the soul that's able to notice, to see, to hear God's voice, to speak it with such poetry and such beauty and such power. And thus says the Lord, this is our reading today in chapter 35 of Isaiah. Say to those whose hearts are frightened. How many people today have frightened hearts? Seeing the situation of our world, sometimes even of the church. Frightened, frightened. Say to those whose hearts are frightened, be strong, fear not. And you guys know how many times fear not is said in the Bible, right? For some strange reason, very strange, I think you might not agree with me, it's 365 times. Now, I never checked that out personally and counted them, so I'm going on hearsay about that, on hearing it said. I heard it said. Wow, somebody dropped off their jet ski here. Interesting. So I heard it said that it's 365 times for some strange reason. Is there any other 365 out there? That's an amazing reality, that God takes care even that tangible way to bring it home to us, not to be afraid, to trust, to relax. That the darkness will turn to light in our world. and brighten up our hope and our faith and our knowledge and our relationships, where maybe the sun disappeared a while ago and needs a revival. So anyway, I say a saying to those whose hearts are frightened, be strong, fear not. Here is your God. He comes with divine vindication. Heard a wonderful commentary of a sister. Actually, I read it, and I'm not sure if I can get the name out for her. But I'm going to be watching out for this sister for her commentaries. Yesterday I read it, and about the vindication. You know, the vindication. You know, it's a topic I love, that I've often commented, that God's vindication is mercy on his enemies and conversion of heart. It's amazing. He's coming with divine recompense. He comes to save you. Then will the eyes of the blind be opened, the ears of the deaf be cleared, not stuffed and impeded from hearing the word of God and each other, through each other. Then will the lame leap like a stag, and the tongue of the mute will sing. Somebody who can't speak, and now we hear them singing. What a joy. Father Fernando included a little video yesterday inside his own video, a clip of, it's in Spanish, so if you need the link I can get it to you. But it's Father Fernando Morales LC, and it's on YouTube. So he had a little clip in there of a woman in a clinic who had been deaf her whole life, and because of some medical procedure was listening and hearing for the first time, and it was just amazing to see her emotion. It was a very short clip, just a few seconds. Then the ears of the deaf will be cleared. The tongue of the mute will sing. Pavarotti and all the other great singers. Streams will burst forth in the desert. Well, this is not really a desert, but if you travel across Jordan, there's a lot of dry, barren land. If you travel down to the south of Israel, to the Negev, if you travel down through Israel, to the West Bank, you have lots of desert, the Judean desert, down near the Dead Sea. Streams will burst forth in the desert, and rivers in the steppe. The burning sands will become pools, the thirsty ground springs of water. It's so filled with hope. And then, guess what? That's all setting up the gospel, the background to the gospel. You see, this language is very important, because if somebody comes along and cures a blind and deaf man, you know, okay, it's a physical deed of healing, okay, but here it becomes code language, because it's about the Lord approaching with his vindication, with his love, with his mercy, with his healing. With divine recompense, he comes to save you. Isn't this amazing? And some of the commentaries that I've heard for the readings today also indulge in the reflections about how all that territory Jesus covered. You can also see here, from here, the mountains of Lebanon way back up there in the distance. And then you can see over here towards the Decapolis, and we can even see Jordan from here, because the capital, the most southerly town of the Decapolis, 10 cities in the Greek administration, in the Hellenic period, actually, when Magdala was developed, first of all, in the period of the Greeks, the Hasmonean period. So in that time, Amman was the most southerly town of the Decapolis of the 10 cities, and it's the present-day capital of Jordan. That's Jordan down there at the end, okay, that plateau. And here you have the Golan Heights. So Jesus was moving in pagan territory. And that was interesting. And he was opening the eyes of those who still hadn't heard God's word. And he was opening the eyes of them who hadn't seen God's deeds, and the ears of those who hadn't heard his words, and the mouth of those who weren't able to speak God's word. Well, I think our time is up, so I was thinking to comment a bit more about all of the opening, what it means for us today. Because there are a lot of people who are estranged from God, who don't know him, truly don't know him, and many times it's not their fault. And many of us who are believers, our eyes are often closed to see things. Something amazing happened to me yesterday. Yesterday evening, there was a very short little video after I saw the video of Bishop Barron for Sunday, and I decided I'd see it. And it was about a very famous personality nowadays. He's very much in the news, and I'd never thought of his importance. And he was an atheist, but it was telling about his discovery of God's presence in his life and how that happened. Amazing. And then there was another person, and it's also a huge star in the entertainment industry. And I remember maybe 30 years ago, or 30 to 40 years ago, a confrere telling me something disgusting about this very famous person, really disgusting, about his behavior. And apparently that's the way it was. And this man now is giving witness, and he's still very famous. And he's giving witness about the grace of God entering our lives through the church. Absolutely amazing. So my eyes were opened yesterday, just with these two little accounts, two little reports, two witnesses. Because when I would think about those people, I would not think about faith at all. Their faith. And I wouldn't have thought about them in terms of God bringing them around to that point with his grace. And I heard it, and now I'm talking about it. So my ears were opened, and my mouth is able to speak it today. So the reflection I had this morning in my prayer, which is such a blessed day for me and my family, because I recognize so many graces that came my way. We believers, even me a priest, 37 years a priest, 50 years in religious life, I need my eyes opened every day. I need my mouth opened every day. Many times it's easier to not talk, because there's pushback coming your way, or critique, or scoffing, or whatever. It's okay, guys. We need to open our eyes, open our ears, and open our mouth in such a way that we will encounter those who are far away, or not so far away, but to encounter them with goodness and kindness, because God's love. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators. Maybe there'll be more coming about all of this at 8:15 at Mass. I'm going to the Instagram now. They're all linked together. God bless you. See you later, alligators.